let me know if you're able to see it. Christina, you can confirm whether my screen is visible, my audio, video, everything is fine.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So first, thank you, Christina. Thank you, UiPath, for giving me this opportunity, and welcome everyone to the second session of our Autopilot for Everyone series. We have actually conducted our first session on uh, Tuesday, and this is the second sessions, and we have our final sessions on coming Monday. Christina might be sharing the link for the final session. You can actually enroll for that program as well. So today's agenda, I will start. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay, so there. This one fine. Okay, so I'll start with a recap of the session one. If you any one of you have missed the session one, maybe I'll give an introduction about myself. So myself Shiraz KM. I'm working as intelligent automation lead in First Abu Dhabi Bank UAE. I have total 11 years of experience with relevant automation experience of 8 years. So coming to the topic, what we have done in the I'll give you a recap of the session one. Then we will go for the context grounding in Autopilot for everyone. Then we'll talk about the custom capabilities, how we can actually integrate the automation and add some tool set for the Autopilot for everyone. Then, okay, so this one, well, let's start with the recap of the session. So these were actually the one which we have covered in the last session. So we discussed about UiPath Autopilot as a product. UiPath Autopilot have Autopilot for developers, testers, business analysts, and Autopilot for everyone. We have actually talked about what is UiPath Autopilot overall. Then we have started with the introduction to the Autopilot for everyone. We have seen like how the capabilities of Autopilot for everyone. Mainly, we have discussed about the generative capabilities. Then we discussed about how the Autopilot for everyone is actually incorporated with the document understanding, and where we have seen like how well the Autopilot for everyone is extracting the values from document understanding. Then after we have discussed about the inbuilt capabilities, we have seen like the installations and configurations, and we have installed one Autopilot for everyone in one of the tenants, and we have showcased how the installation is completed. And then we have actually talked about the pre-built capabilities also. Pre-built capabilities means UiPath is itself is actually providing us some solutions. We have imported to Autopilot for everyone, and then we have ran the Autopilot for everyone with some of the prompts, and it worked as expected. So these were the major things which we are actually covered in the session one. Okay, so basically now we will start about the session two. So if you see here, how to install Autopilot for everyone, it was actually covered in the session one. If you have missed the session one, definitely it is available in YouTube, and it is also available in the UiPath site. You can actually always go back to this one. But for the session two, let's assume that you have already installed the Autopilot for everyone, and now we will talk about the context grounding. So before I start with the context grounding, I'll give you an idea about like what is context grounding. So because if I ask any questions to Autopilot for everyone, for example, like what is the current news in US? So let's see like what is the reply we are getting from the Autopilot for everyone. So basically, if you see here, it is actually a automation or a tool set called as Google, and it's identifying the values or because I have actually asked the current news, which is like very latest news from the US, right? And it is trying to pull the information for me. Let's see the results first. Okay, well, let it run. Meanwhile, I will explain you something. So if you here, it is actually giving me all the details which is happening at the moment. So if you remember before, when we are actually talking about the LLM, we were actually discussing like this particular LLM is trained till 2023. And if we actually ask some informations beyond 2023, we won't be able to get these answers. This might be very familiar for you when we are actually interacting with LLM for the first time. So there was actually a limitation that when we ask something which is not trained on the LLM, we were actually not getting the answers for that questions. But if you see the autopilot for everyone, even though it is built on top of LLM, when I ask questions which is very recent or which is very relevant to the situation, it is actually giving me the answers within the within the fraction of seconds. So this is what we are actually talking about the autopilot for everyone. So if you see here, what is the autopilot for everyone? my ABC company is there. Okay, let me ask like what is the leave policy in company ABC? Let's assume that I'm working in a company called as ABC and I'm asking Autopilot like what is the leave policy in company ABC. So if you see here, like I have actually, if you see here, it is actually apologizing because I don't have that specific information about the leave policy for the company ABC and it is giving me some of the details. This is actually one of the good thing because it's not giving me any wrong answer, correct? At least it is giving me that it the autopilot doesn't know that what is the leave policy in company ABC. So it is much better than giving me a wrong fantastic answer. It is good to apologize instead of giving me a wrong answer. This is also one of the quality of the context counting. So the question here is like how I will solve this problem. Because basically, if I ask any question which is there in Google or which is in Wikipedia, with the help of Google and Wikipedia, it can actually answer the questions to me. But for me, as an organizations, I might be requiring more details related to my company. It so when I say more details about the company, just don't limit to leave policy or maybe some policy related things the customers or the employees are asking to the autopilot for everyone. If you think from a wider perspective, let's say that in a company like a bank and all, there will be lot of compliance document will be there, and most of the times people needs to fill documents for their vendors. And at the current moment how they will do is like if the vendor ask any questions, it will be like hundreds of questions will be there. Basically how they answer the question is like for any questions they have to go back to their previous documents, open each of these documents to see like if there is any similar answer for these questions and they will answer to this one. It is actually a painful process for them. So there might be a lot of scenarios like this where they have to go back to the previous document to get the answer for the current questions and they have to fill it for like 100 or 200 of questions. So it is not just understanding about the policy or maybe some fancy answers from our documents. It's more than that. If you really look into the use cases, there are many scenarios in which like if the autopilot could answer the question from the document, or if we can actually upload hundreds of documents and it can actually get the answers from that questions, it will be very relieving for many of the teams within different organizations. So now we know what is the requirement. We need something which is internal to our organization. How is it possible? The solution for that one is actually based on which we can call it like context grounding. So if you see the definition of context grounding is a feature within UiPath AI Trust Layer that enhance the capabilities of large language model by providing relevant context from your organization data. So basically, LLM is already trained on some data set. On top of that, we are actually giving them more data which they can actually retrieve it. So basically, retrieval augmented generation means any data which we provide on top of the trained data, it will be converted into vector index, and with the indexing it can actually get the details from the data which we have provided, and it will give us a proper generation here. That is what we call it as like retrieval augmented generation. So now let's see like how we can actually do it in autopilot. Okay, so first thing is, let me give you an example. I'll go to my folder. Let's say that I have an HR policy document for my company ABC, and this is the pure PDF document. Okay. Context grounding can actually support PDF document, Word document, text document, Excel. It can actually support most of the commonly used document types. But here in this case, let's say that this is the document which we have for the HR policy. Okay. So here it is clearly mentioned like paternity leave is for 5 days. So let me ask the question before I do something. Let me ask the question like how many days are the paternity leave in company ABC. Okay. So I'm asking you a question related to my organization, which is there in the document, but I haven't uploaded or I haven't done anything. I'm just giving you an example, like I'm expecting the same only. It is not giving me the answer because I haven't trained on this particular data. Correct? Let me close this one. Okay. So what we can do is let's go to orchestrator. Okay. Okay, this let me refresh it. Okay. So before I go with autopilot for everyone, let's see that which. let's go to the orchestrator. If you see my autopilot, it is actually connected to the tenant like default tenant. Okay. I'll go to the default tenant because basically I need a place to upload this document, right? Because I'm actually training my autopilot to get the details from this document. So I need a space where I can actually upload the document, and definitely storage bucket is the right place where we can actually upload the documents. It's not just limited to storage bucket, it can actually directly connect to SharePoint as well. But for this example, particular example, I'm taking storage bucket as the example. Okay. So right now I have actually connected to my tenant. If it is default tenant only, you have to remember like which folder I'm selecting. So right now, since I can actually select any of the folders, but now for the testing purpose, I'm actually selecting autopilot folder. I go to the storage bucket. I have already created this one, but maybe I'll delete it. So one thing to note is like a storage bucket is something where you can actually upload multiple documents, but you have to categorize it properly because how we are connecting to autopilot is based on this storage bucket. So let's say that if you want to train only for the HR documents, then definitely I would suggest that your storage bucket you can give the name as like HR documents, so that when you connect the autopilot, will connect only the HR documents, so that it won't mix up with the other documents. So in my case, it's actually company ABC documents. So I mentioned like company ABC HR documents as my storage bucket. I can give the description. This is important because autopilot, let's say that if I ask any questions related to ABC, it will look at the description as well on top of what we are giving in the autopilot one description. I'll show you that as well. But it is good to give a proper description here. So I'm giving like this storage bucket contains all the HR related documents specific to company ABC. Okay, so I have given the proper descriptions. Here, labeling is something is there. If I put autopilot as labeling here, it will automatically connect to autopilot. But I'm not doing this now because I want to show you how we can connect it from the autopilot tab itself. So I'm not putting any label here, and then I'm creating add. So what we have done is like we have actually created a storage bucket only. I haven't uploaded any of the documents now. Okay, so I'll go to this one. I'll upload the document so I can actually close this PDF, and I'm selecting the PDF from here. So I'm uploading the HR policy document, which contains the details related to the company ABC. Okay. So now what I have done is like I have created one storage bucket. I have actually uploaded one document. I can actually upload more documents. Okay, I'll show you in the next part. But now I have uploaded only one document. Now the question is, I have autopilot. If I ask the same question now, it will give me the same answer only because I haven't connected autopilot with my storage bucket. So where I can connect it, as I have mentioned in the session one, anything related to autopilot, you can remember by 3A. Go to admin, first A, and then you have to go to AI trust layer, which is you can call it as second A, and then you will see something for autopilot for everyone. But here, before we go for autopilot for everyone, I have to do something on the context grounding because the technology which is helping to get the details from a document is context grounding. So I need to go to the context grounding first. And the tenant, this is why I told like we have to remember the folder which is we have uploaded the document. Definitely, I have actually used for default tenant. Then I have actually gone to autopilot, so I can actually click on add new index name. I could give any index name. So I'll give like company ABC index, and the description definitely this index contains the details related to company ABC. Okay, and the data source is actually storage bucket, and the orchestrator folder is autopilot, and the storage company ABCHR documents. So we have an option to select whether to filter only few documents type like PDF, Excel, or JSON, CSV, etc. But in my case, I will actually give all so that any document which I upload there, it will be automatically trained to autopilot for everyone. So this is how I have actually created a context grounding index. I'll click on sync now. So what's happening now is like it's actually creating an index, which I call it like vector database, something similar. It is actually creating an index for the storage bucket which I have selected. It is still in progress. Okay, successful. So the sync is successful. We have actually done what is required for the context counting, but still we haven't connected to the autopilot for everyone, right? So go to autopilot for everyone now. Select the tenant, which is default tenant. Okay, now if you see here, there is a section specific to context grounding, expand it, and we have to enable the index. So we have actually created the index from context grounding. So just to recap, we have created storage bucket, we uploaded the documents. Then after that, we came here for creating the index using that storage bucket. And now we are actually enabling the index for autopilot for everyone. So click on enable index, select the folder. Again, we have to remember that folder is autopilot only. And then index name, company ABC index. And again, we have option to give for the description for autopilot. Okay. So we have to give the same description. This is, this index contains all the HR related details specific to APC company. Okay. And I'm enabling the index. So if we see the company index is enabled. Now, if I ask the question now, it might give me the same answer because autopilot is actually an automation which is already started running. I might need to restart the autopilot so that the whatever changes I have done in the context grounding, it will get reflected here. So how I can do is go to the settings, the bottom exit autopilot is there. Just click on restart. So once it restarts, it is similar to restarting a process, which will take all the configurations from the orchestrator. Similarly, when a autopilot is restarted, whatever configurations we have done in the orchestrator, everything will be taken care into place, and the autopilot will have the context counting in place. So now I can ask the same question: how many days is the paternity leave in company ABC? I'm asking the same question. Previously I got the answer like it does not have the details and it apologized to me. But now if you see, it is already searching for the company ABC index because I have clearly mentioned that it is for company ABC, and with the autopilot details which we have given, it know like which index it needs to search. Now if you see here, according to the HR policy of company ABC, the paternity leave is 5 days, and it gives me an additional information also. And if you go to the HR policy document just to verify that the answer is correct, we have these many details provided by the autopilot. You see the answer is correct only. Paternity leave is 5, annual 20, sick leave. All details are matching with my document, which is correct. Okay. So I'm closing this one. So I'll give you one more example. Let's say that I want to upload a holiday list also to this context grounding. How I can do is like, if you see here, I have already done the connection with my storage bucket. Context grounding connection is done. Index down, everything is done. So if you want to upload a new document, you don't need to go through all these things. You just go to the orchestrator, go to the storage bucket, and we already know that the company ABC HR documents are there. We can actually upload the new document. But before that, I'll ask a question related to holiday first and make sure that it is not indexed now. Okay, so I have just given like public holidays days are like this. So I'll just ask the question to autopilot like, is 4th April 2025 is public holiday for company ABC. Okay, I just asked something related to public holiday. So the information is actually available in this Excel file. If you see here, 4th April is not a public holiday. So the answer, it is actually searching for company ABC index because it's know that it is something related to company ABC. But in the HR policy document, I don't have that information available there. So it is actually retrying. Similar to our automation, it will by default retry for 3 times. The same is actually happening here. It knows that there is some document which is available for company and it retried for 3 times and it apologizes because it contains only one document which does not have the required informations. So now, in order to help Autopilot, I'm actually uploading this document. I'll just click on upload new file, browse, and HR holiday list is here. I click on upload. So now if you see here, I have actually uploaded the file. But one thing you need to take care is like we don't need to go for the all the process which you have done before, but a small synchronization issue might be there. In order to resolve that, go to admin and then the same autopilot triple A. Go for this one. Go for autopilot for everyone, or maybe the context grounding. Let's see like what it is there. Autopilot. If you see here, last updated is like 1718. It didn't updated the latest one. So I can actually click on this one, sync now. So it will update the latest one. Now if I ask the same question, I'm not sure whether I need to restart the autopilot or not, but just let's give it a try. So it's understanding the request. Definitely it knows that it is something related to, okay, I think this information is not there. So I'll do one thing. I'll refresh, restart it one time. Actually, I have given this also as a suggestions in the insider portal. Instead of restarting it, maybe if you could give a refresh button or something. Since it is still in the development phase, I hope they will give something like a refresh button so that it is easy if you want to update anything in the autopilot. Okay, now if I ask the same question, is fourth April a public holiday for company ABC? Definitely it will go for the company ABC index only. And there instead of one document, we are expecting two documents. Okay, it is searching company ABC index. Okay, so if you see now, it got the information. Based on the information available in the company holidays list, I can confirm that is not listed as a public holiday for company ABC. So if you see the structure, it is actually the power of LLM only because I'm not configure anything like how the way it should give me the answer. LLM know by default that how it should do the generation part, and it is doing perfectly. So this is how I have actually done the context grounding. So let's say that if you want to update something, definitely what you can do is like you can actually go back to uh, uh, this storage bucket and you can actually upload the rewrite the new file. For example, like if I go for the holiday list and I want to update something, or in the policy document, I have updated something because every time we'll get some updates, right? So what is expected to do is like, let's say that instead of second, everywhere it is like first of month. Okay. I updated something here. Then what you could do is go to the storage bucket, autopilot, storage bucket. We have something for company ABCHR documents. Then just upload the latest file. The file name will be same, so we can actually overwrite it. You see here, holiday list is here. Same name will be overwritten. So now it is already updated. So after the sync and everything, if I ask the question, it will give like April 1st is a public holiday. Okay. So that's all about the context counting. So before I go for the next topic, any questions? Christine, any question in the chat box?
I'm just checking. There is a question from Olivia regarding context grounding. Can we update the context grounding via API?
So basically, if you go to this one, uh, I think definitely it should be possible. If you go to the autopilot, we have a connection option also because right now what we have done is we have actually directly go with the storage bucket. But if you go to, let me see what all options we have there. Autopilot for everyone. We have to select the tenant, default tenant. Okay, in the context counting, I think. We go to the context counting, add new. There are two buckets. So I think So basically, we can actually call any of the automations. I think we can actually call because like the similar the way we have done for the Google, I think it is possible instead of just the storage bucket. But specific to API, I need to check. I can actually check and then comment later. Maybe if you ask the same question in the YouTube or somewhere, I can actually reply to that one. I haven't done from my side, but I strongly believe that it should be possible with the help of the automation. But I'm not confirming that after checking only I'll confirm on the same. Any other questions, or we are good to continue with the toolset automation?
There is another one also on context graph. Oh, there are two actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, Aditya, what are the data privacy features for using context grounding given it will house company documents? Is there any policy and data privacy document from UiPath?
So basically, if you see here, it comes under the AI trust layer. And why AI trust layer is created is mainly for the trusting part only because it contains all the policies which we can actually restrict how it was goes. Basically, now if you see here, it is actually uploading to your cloud. Definitely after the security approvals only, it will be enabled in your organization. So I don't think there will be any issue in which once it is enabled in your organization, I think it is safe to upload to the context content because after security approvals only it will be enabled in your organization. So AI Trust have definitely the security features are there. I can actually share the link later regarding the AI Trust layer, like what all security measures have taken. This layer is actually mainly for the security part only AI Trust layer because you see here because there are a lot of models, everything is available in the AI Trust layer.
And we have another question from France. Could the context grounding be done with the upload of Excel or Word files?
Yeah, I have shown you the supported files, right? It can actually upload Excel file, Word file, different types of file types are supported.
Okay, I think we're good now to go on.
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you.
Okay, so let's talk about the tool set automations. So I'll give you a very simple example. I'll start with a very simple example. So if I ask Autopilot to do some message box, okay, before that let me check that there is nothing available here now. Autopilot for everyone, default tenant. Okay, so we have actually covered what is context counting, one of the tabs for Autopilot, and if you see here there is something called as tools also here. Okay, so tool bundle is something, the pre-built capabilities. If you see the configurations, if you select the orchestrator, I want to select the folder like Autopilot and Autopilot enable process only. We have these many son. So if you see here, there are different type of tool set is there. Few are like default tool set. Okay. Uh, if you see like Autopilot FAQ, Google, Wikipedia, these are the default tool set. When we install the Autopilot, automatically these tool sets are enabled. Then we have marketplace toolset, which we call it like pre-built toolset. If you see here the bundles, right? Tool bundles, these are like the pre-built toolset. Now we have one more option, which is like custom toolset. How we can enable is what I'm going to configure now. If you see here autopilot, I select the folder like autopilot, and then or maybe I have something called as custom tool automations I have created. You see here it is already there. So what I will do is like I'll delete it and then I'll showcase how it works. Okay. So if I select this one, I'll just disable it for now. And then this one also I'll disable it. Okay. So I have to, I'll explain it. Just I'm doing some configurations now so that it won't give me the expected point first. Okay. So now if I restart this one, let's take a very simple example. Autopilot is capable of doing a lot of things, right? But basically, if I ask something like an action to autopilot, it requires the help of toolset. So, if, for example, like last time when I show, if I ask to send an email without the toolset, what it will do is like it will give me a proper email content. Instead of sending it actually assisting me to get the content only. But after I incorporated the pre-built tools, instead of just giving me the content, it was actually sending the email as well. Because the power of Autopilot depends upon the tool set which we are providing to them. So now if I ask Autopilot, give me a message box with the word hello world. So now if I ask Autopilot to give me a message box, it's a very simple thing, right? But definitely in order for the Autopilot to get me a message box, it needs some tools in place. So if you see here, okay, so it's already, I think it is already integrated now. It is actually giving me. So okay, I'll do one thing. How it is enabled, let me disable it first. So so it's still enabled. I think we have to save it first, then get account balance. Okay, this is okay, fine. Now let me check. Okay, there are no automations now. Perfect. Let me go to productivity autopilot also. So basically whatever is enabled, I'm just disabling it. I'll just restart it. And I'll show you like, so this session is mainly focused on integration of automation with autopilot for everyone. The use case, definitely we have another session which is planned for coming Monday, where we will cover the actual use cases. But this basic concept is important because you have to understand like how we are building an automations and how we are actually connecting this with the autopilot for everyone. So building an automation, what we need to do is like, let's say that I'm creating some process in the studio. Okay, so if you see here, there are templates are available. So specific to Autopilot for everyone, recently a template is released. We can actually use that template. If you see Autopilot, you see there is one template for Autopilot automation template. I'm just using that one for creating the process. So right now I haven't integrated anything now. I'm just creating the process. Okay, I'll name it like message box just to keep it very simple. I'm giving it like message box. So meanwhile, let me ask here, give me a message box with hello world. I'm just giving a simple task to autopilot, but without any tool set. Okay. Now, if you see here, instead of giving me a message box, what autopilot is doing is it is actually trying to
Can,
create an HTML file.
can I please ask the audience to stay on mute while we are? I think I solved it now. Sorry, Sharaz.
No problem. That's fine. It happens. Okay. So if you see here, it is actually creating a document for me with HTML of hello world.html. It will actually work also, but how this is creating this action is because if you see, remember we have actually incorporated the pre-built activities where there is an activity for creating HTML. So with that tool set, it is whatever is possible, it is actually doing. So if when the autopilot get a request, it will see like what all tools it have, which is the best option, it will take that. So right now it doesn't have a direct option to give me a message box, so it give me a different option like HTML creation. Okay. So I'm actually giving the power for Autopilot to mm, give me the message box directly. So how I'll do is like I'm just creating, opened a template here. The template is actually very simple because if you see what is expected is that in order for Autopilot to work properly, every automation should be specific to one task only. So you might have done a lot of complex automations in your organizations. If you ask me that, can I directly connect that process to autopilot? I would say that it is yes, if it is actually solving one single problem only. But if it is doing a lot of things, you might need to modify your input arguments in such a way that it can actually route to different directions. Otherwise, I would say that split into simple tasks and use this template and then incorporate those tasks into this template and then deploy it as a new process, which you can actually club with the autopilot so that it can actually know like which action it needs to take. So basically for one, if you see the Outlook activities, send mail will be one process, then sending a calendar invite will be a different process. Instead of clubbing everything into one process and splitting it, what we are doing is like the best practice is actually to create process for single activity only. So here, if you see here, these all I don't need to do any details. Only in the try block, I'm actually adding one message box, but I need the value from message box. Okay, I think it is. Okay, I think the package is missing here. Yeah. Okay, I'll do one thing in the interest of time. Did anyone remember the package where message box is coming? That we have. Because this, since I have used a template, it gives only like defined template packages only. If I go to this one, okay, in interest of time, since already 7:40, I'll do one thing. So this is the templates which we normally need to use for creating the autopilot. But in interest of time, what I will do is like I'll create something with normal process only, because there is no hard rule that we have to go with the template. We can actually go with any template. I'll just do one thing. I'll just open the process which I have already created. Custom autopilot display message box. It's just opening the message box. Okay. So if you see the process, it contains only message box, but from where it is getting, I have only one argument, one input argument, and I'm just putting the message box. I'll just publish it. You see, it comes under the tool automations. I have actually selected the folder as tool automations. I'm publishing this process. I'll just publish it. Okay. I think it will publish in the backend. But here, if you come here for the default document, which folder I have selected, I have actually selected the folder for tools automation. If you see here, the folder which I have selected is tools automations only. I'm publishing this code to tools automation. So if we go to orchestrator, okay, if I go to the tools automation, if you see the process, I already added that process here, custom autopilot display message. I can actually upgrade to the latest one also. Upgrade to the latest one, confirm. So now what we have done is like we have this will be familiar for every developer in the UiPath. If you are from the developer background, what I have done is like I just created some process. I published it to the orchestrator tool automations. That's it. Now I need to link it with autopilot because I have to add this as a tool set. So for going to the autopilot, definitely admin triple A rule you can actually follow. Go to admin, AI trust layer, go to autopilot for everyone. Select the tenant, which is default tenant. And now if you see the options which are coming, there is something called as tools is there and configure tools. And we know the folder is like I have created for tools automations only. Inside the tool automation, I have something called as custom autopilot display message. And there are two options are there. Enable for this autopilot, definitely we have to enable it. Set as pre-response actions, I'll explain it. But right now I'm not enabling it. I'm just keeping it like this. Click on save. So basically what I have done is like I have added one tool to autopilot for everyone. In order to reflect, I'll just restart it. Once I restart, what I'm planning to do is like I'll ask the same question because now I have actually given the capability to give a message box. But in actual use cases, you have to understand that it might be some process related things. For example, like getting an account balance from an account. This will be one of the activities. So here, if you ask now, display message box, hello world. I'm asking previously the answer which gave by autopilot was actually It generated an HTML file for me because that was the only action. Now, if you see here, it is actually calling custom autopilot display message box, and it is giving me the input argument. I can actually even change this, changed from here, and then run the automation. It will install, it will actually process in the backend, and you see, it will give me the message box also. You see, hello world changed. So what basically I have done is like I have developed something and I have actually incorporated with autopilot and give the power. So in some cases, so if you ask me some of the use cases, let's say that I have opened something called get account balance. I created a simple process where the input will be the account number, and then it will go and search in an Excel file to identify the matching account number, and it will get the balance for me. So I'll show you the process first. Let it load. I'm just opening the main workflow. Okay. So if you see the process, I have actually created in the template of the autopilot. These informations were there in the template. I just opened one file. Okay. I'll just quickly explain what I have done in this process. So I open one account balance file, which is already there in the folder for the testing purpose. I read the value, I filter the data table, and if the value is there, I mention like the account balance is this value, and then the currency is there. If you see the argument, I have account number as input and account balance and currency as output. Okay. This is the process which I have done for now. I'll just publish it to the same folder, tool automations. It also comes under the tool automations. I just click on publish. Now also I want to show one more thing. Here, if you see here, if I selected this message box and set as pre-response actions and click on save button. So here when I asked the question, it was actually giving me a run button, right? It won't come now if I click on this one and then exit and refresh. Okay. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll add one more thing and then I'll do it. Okay. Okay. So here it's the same tools of our automation. If you see here, I have get account balance also. So I'm actually enabling this one. Set as pre-response, I'm not enabling now. I'm just clicking on save button. Now I can restart the autopilot for everyone. Also, I'll go to the folder where this process is there. I need that Excel file to understand which all account numbers have value. Get account balances here, account details. I'm just opening it. Okay. Now, if I ask like the same question, give me message box, hello world. Previously, it was actually giving me an option to run the button. Since we have actually selected the other option as well, it won't ask for run button. It will immediately give you the answer. So running custom autopilot display message, give me the message box. You see here, it is here, the message box, hello world. So it is not asking to run. So if you know a process which is running successfully fine, we don't need to give that intermediate step. We can actually directly skip that from the settings of this set as pre-response action. Okay. So now I will ask the question like the account balance. If you see here, I have account number. This one is there, which I have already added as a tool set. So I'll go and ask like, what is the account balance for this? So if we see the account balance for this particular account is like 860402 and the currency is in GBP format. So it is actually asking me because I haven't selected that there. The option which this is like enabled for this autopilot release set as pre-response was not saved now. I can save it. Click on save. The job started processing. So basically the job will actually identify that this is the account number input, because we have actually given like input argument for account number. Autopilot automatically identifies that this is the account number. It gives for the process, and then whatever results it's come, it will give in a proper format. So the run is successful. It will generate the response now. So here I have retrieved the account balance for the account number. Here is the information. It gives me proper details here. What is the currency? What is the account balance? So if you see here, these all things are the properties of the LLM only. I haven't configured anything like in which way I need to get the output. Now I'll give you an example, like I'll give you a dummy account number which is not there in the file. Okay. I just modified like something like this and click on enter. So if you see the automation which I have developed, I haven't done any exception handling. I have done the basic exception handling only, but I haven't specified that if the account number is not in this Excel file, you give this response. Nothing I have configured for Autopilot for everyone. Those all are like the capabilities of AI. That is the reason why we are telling like Autopilot for everyone is like a AI-driven support system. So if you see here, I haven't done any exception, but let's see like what is the response we are getting now. Automation is successful, and let's wait for the response. You see, I apologize, but it seems that the account number you provided doesn't have any associated balance information. This could mean, so these all things are actually provided by the LLM only. So the beauty is that we just need to do the action only and then integrate with autopilot, and then automatically it will do the rest of the needful. So let's say that how it differs when it comes for you. I'll just go to the next slide. So far, how this will help for a developer. So if you are a developer, Autopilot for everyone will actually democratize the automation. Because if you see how the business is doing now, they might go for unattended mode and they will give the process or the automation to our team and they will get the results only. They're not having an experience like how the automation is running, right? Or if you give them an attended one, it is pure rule based only because they have just need to click on the play button and it'll give a response whichever we have configured. But now with the autopilot for everyone, the experience is actually enhanced because they can actually chat like a assistant. They can actually do whatever is required. For example, like if you give proper tools, like for example, like for a finance team, if you are doing an RPA development, you have actually done automation for every steps they are doing it. Then for the finance team, they will directly come to the autopilot and they will ask the question to autopilot and they'll get the response because it will be like an attended automation in their same machine. Definitely they need an attended license, but the experience in which they will use the automation will be different. From a developer perspective, how it will reflect for you is like instead of developing an end-to-end process, what you might do in future is that you will split the process into tasks, and using the autopilot for everyone template, you will develop only those tasks and deploy to the production. And if you see here, download the autopilot template from marketplace, use the template to build it and publish the automation. Now, whatever things we have to configure in the orchestrator, it is the role of an organization admin. So right now also for any COE team, we have an orchestrator admin, right? The same way, installs and deploy the autopilot for everyone solution packages, a preferred tenant, customize chart, prompts, configure text grounding, add users to the autopilot. Everything will do by the admin. Now coming to the assistant user or the business users or everyone in the organization, they just launch the UiPath assistant and sign into the tenant, which hosts the autopilot for everyone and interacts with autopilot by sending predefined custom prompts. So basically, we are giving them a proper chat experience through Autopilot for everyone if we develop the automations in proper format. So RPA developer definitely have a role in which how they needs to modify the development in which they have developed before. And organization admin also needs to have some understanding about how the autopilot is configured. So I think that's all we have planned to cover this one, but definitely on the use cases we are planning for a different sessions on Monday that will be taken care by Lalija. So this will be my last session for as part of this series. Definitely, I can actually put my LinkedIn profile also here in the chat. If you have any questions after this session, if you want to connect with me, definitely you can connect me over here in the LinkedIn. But we have around like 10 minutes here. If any questions which needs to be answered, definitely you can answer now.
So by now, I think everyone will be able to unmute. We can start with the questions we have in chat. I have also shared for you two links to join the EMEA Global chapter and the Dubai chapter, so you can stay updated with future opportunities and join these communities. And also the LinkedIn profiles of Sharaz, but as well for Lovely and Umayima, who are also your mentors for this series. So you can stay connected with them. And I see Olivia has a comment here. Are you considering to add in future versions an auto refresh for UiPath Assistant for the scenarios when context grounding might be updated via API several times per hour?
So from since I'm not from the UiPath side, what I have
Yeah.
done is like I have actually given it as a suggestion to UiPath, definitely in the Insider portal, and definitely you can also use the Insider portal to suggest because it is generally available now, but still they are actually taking a lot of suggestions from the community. So you can also post this in your Insider portal. Definitely, I believe they will consider it.
Yes, I can also share Insider Portal now for everyone who wants to give product suggestions or feedback. Please keep in mind this link and use it. It's also considered as a contribution for those of you who want to become UiPath champions or maybe MVPs. So this is a very highly valued product program in UiPath, the Insider Portal. And yeah, I think we can take live Q&A now, Sharaz.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure, sure.
so let's see who would like to start. Vikrant, would you like to unmute?
Yeah. Hi, Christina.
Hello.
Hi, Sharice.
Hey.
So I had this question. I mean, can we also create a file out of it? I mean, from the autopilot, from any source file?
So file creation is definitely possible. If you see that when I have run, it actually created one HTML file for the message box, right? If I have run that automation, automatically it will actually download the HTML file to me. So basically, if you have developed some automation which can actually generate the file, the same capability we can incorporate in Autopilot also. And in pre-built uh, we have set of solutions which is provided by the UiPath, right? In that also it is actually creating some CSV files, notepad files. Those capabilities are already there in the Autopilot if we have actually uploaded the pre-built solutions.
Okay.
Does that
Thank
answer your
you.
question? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes. Maybe I could take a couple of questions.
I have another question. Hello, I'm Olivia. I want to know if an automation we trigger from Autopilot takes a lot of time, for example, 30 minutes. Can we use Autopilot for another subject or to trigger multiple automations in the same time?
With the phase one, I don't think that is possible because what I have seen is like whenever the bot is actually running in the first phase, I'm not able to enter anything through the one. Maybe they might have considered for the phase two, but with the phase one, I don't think that this is possible. One automation at a time because basically, if you see here, it is actually considering the attended license only. It's similar to like how we are running from here. If we are actually running one bot, if you cannot run the second bot based on your license model, the same won't be possible with Autopilot for everyone as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Sharaz? It was definitely a great session. And
Thank you.
I'm grateful for all the questions that I saw in the chat. Anyone else who wishes to ask a question before we close the Q&A?
I think the session was so clear that everyone have no questions, I
It
think, Christina.
definitely was. It was a very good
I'm
session.
just
I mean, I've seen many sessions, but this was particularly good. So definitely, Sharaz, you're a very good mentor. We'll see you soon in other training series.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, great session, and the content very well formatted. I loved it. Okay, so then thank you all for joining us today. And see you on Monday evening, uh, pretty soon for the last session of Autopilot for everyone. On Monday, I will also launch a form for you to sign up. We will have a certification program running this year in community, so you will be able to sign up for our upcoming certification program. And hopefully that will be exciting for all of you. Have a great weekend, everyone, and happy holidays to anyone who is celebrating this weekend. See you soon. Thank you very much, Sharaz.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Christina. Thank you. Bye-bye.